Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Today, folks, let's talk about Biden's saying that there might be a regime change, but the White House saying, no, that's not what he said. We'll talk about that. Also, let's discuss the fact that there's still a lot of African students in the Ukraine, and what is their fate? We talked to political strategist Sinclair Skinner to give us some details. And then later, the slap that was heard around the world, folks. We talk Oscars and the implication of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock live and on stage. Man, oh man, we'll get into that big conversation. So stay with us. A lot is coming at you right here on today's edition of The Culture, only here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for checking in with us and spending your time learning about all of the big conversations that are happening today. Man, oh man, a lot to get to. So let's jump right in. First and foremost, over the weekend, President Biden said 9 words that has caused great fear and some great concern about what he said. The president has gone on to say that Russian President Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power during a fiery speech that he gave in Poland. Now, once he said that, automatically people thought regime change in Russia. But then the White House put out a statement saying that the U.S. was not pursuing a strategy of regime change in Moscow. I want to play a little bit of what the president had to say, and we're going to be joined by our culture crew member, B. Fly, as we talk a little bit about this situation. Check this out.
Came to Europe again this week with a clear and determined message for NATO, for the G7, for the European Union, for all freedom-loving nations. We must commit now to be in this fight for the long haul. We must remain unified today and tomorrow and the day after, and for the years and decades to come. It will not be easy. There will be cost, but it's a price we have to pay, because the darkness that drives autocracy is ultimately no match for the flame of liberty that lights the souls of free people everywhere. Time and again, history shows that it's from the darkest moments that the greatest progress follows. And history shows this is the task of our time, the task of this generation. Let's remember the hammer blow that brought down the Berlin Wall. The might that lifted the Iron Curtain were not the words of a single leader. It was the people of Europe who for decades fought to free themselves. Their sheer bravery opened the border between Austria and Hungary for the pan-European picnic. They joined hands for the Baltic Way. They stood for solidarity here in Poland. And together, it was an unmistakable and undeniable force of the people that the Soviet Union could not withstand. And we're seeing it once again today with the brave Ukrainian people, showing that their power of many is greater than the will of any one dictator. So in this hour, let the words of Pope John Paul burn as brightly today. Never, ever give up hope. Never doubt. Never tire. Never become discouraged. Be not afraid. A dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never erase a people's love for liberty. Brutality will never grind down their will to be free. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refused to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principles, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. God bless you all, and may God defend our freedom, and may God protect our troops. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. These are the 9 words, folks, that has gotten the White House in a frenzy. And these were 9 words that were totally unscripted. Now, if you have followed the political path of President Joe Biden, you know that he sometimes makes off-the-cuff remarks, which I think, honestly, folks, is what he honestly means. Even though they have a teleprompter, even though he's been trained to say certain things, he's going to get what he wants to get out and get across to the American people, to whoever he's speaking to. So this is a major gaffe that the president has made, and that the White House is putting out there. Secretary of State Antony Blinken put it out there saying, look, this is not the direction that we want to go. And this is one of the, this statement was not just heard in Poland and the United States. It was certainly heard in Moscow and the Kremlin, and they have taken note of this situation. But again, the U.S., the White House has said there is no strategy for regime change at this time. I want to bring in Culture Crew member B. Fly, who serves as co-founder of Blackwater Production House, and she's also a film producer. B, thank you so much for checking in and being with us again on Monday. Okay, yes. B, I see you. I see you.
What's up, Farajii? How you feel today?
I'm good. I'm good. This situation, you know, we've been talking about it for the, you know, it's been we've hit the 30-day mark last week. But this situation, again, continues to add more and more and more. What do you take from the president making this mistake, saying that this man cannot remain in power? Do you feel like this is truly the sentiment of the White House, of the president?
I do, and I think this is typical off the cuff Joe for you. You know, he's quick to add in his own little one-liner. This has been a part of his entire career, you feels, and so yeah, I do believe this is actually the sentiment. Now my question is, what sort of power does he have in making this happen?
What you mean, to make that regime change happen?
Exactly, and so I think that's where the gaffe is. You know,
right?
Like, it's a broad overstep in power, you know, but it's typical white man shit, though, right?
I mean,
this is what
I mean. Look, it's typical United States of America stuff, right? It's because once you put it out there, again, the White House saying, no, we didn't. First, this was not a part of his speech. So he said this literally the last line of his speech before he said, thank you. So it's typical of that. What power does he have? I mean, this is the United States of America. This is the #1 superpower in the world. And if they wanted a regime change in the way that we normally see and how history has shown us, then most likely it's going to happen. Now, is it going to happen with a fight or without a fight? We that's yet to be seen. But to put it out there in the air, I think it's just another situation where the president put his foot in his mouth. I mean, if you're trying to frame this whole war, this conflict in a way where you're not trying to make the United States the enemy of Russia, this is the wrong way to do it. Now, the president has gone on to record to say that he was simply expressing the sentiments of his staff and his team, which is all well and good. Which is really, no, it's not all well and good. Let me just take those words back. It's not well and good because the sentiment is still there, even though it may not be publicly said. The sentiment is still there. You want Putin out, and Joe Biden has been watching Putin taking Russia in a different direction, where he says in the direction of trying to build an empire for many, many years. Putin has been in power for many, many years, and so this is what I think that Joe Biden wants to do. But you can't just unilaterally. Here in the United States, we have a check and balance system of governance. So you can't just say unilaterally, I want to get rid of another head of state. There are steps to take before that happens, if it does happen.
Hence the war that is getting ready, that is being mounted right now, Farajii. So this will be a bloody regime change. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens on the other side of this bloodshed, for reals.
It's a bloody situation. Here's what the White House said after the speech. Just sharing these notes. The president's point was that Putin cannot be allowed to exercise power over his neighbors or the region. He was not discussing Putin's power in Russia or regime change. I really. And this is the thing about politics in this country. People that work in politics, and I want to, if any political figures, officials listen to this, stop acting like the American people that we're stupid. Stop making it seem like we slow, like we don't see what's going on. We're not hearing what's going on. We know exactly what the president meant, and you know exactly what the president meant, and I get it. Right. I mean, it's like that's how America deals with stuff. So let's not insult the intelligence of the American people to make it seem like, no, he wasn't really saying that. What he was saying was that he didn't want Putin's power to extend beyond the boundaries and blah, 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 blah. No, stop doing that. And I'm saying this is both for the Democrats and the Republicans, where they think that we are so stupid that we will just believe anything. It reminded me, and I'm not to get off the point right here, B. It reminded me of that BS that the Republicans pulled when we went after January 6th and said, "Oh, they were just tourists. They were just tourists. They were just visitors. This wasn't a mob. This was an organized." I mean, come the hell on, man. Stop doing that. Stop lying to us as if we're stupid. Like we don't know people. Tourists don't climb walls. Oh, I'm going to climb this wall because I really want that souvenir cup. We're not stupid.
But this is the whitewashing of our actual live events that go on in front of our face. And so, but America still has this relationship with being politically correct, that continues to get itself in trouble, because at the end of the day, this political correctness ends up being a lie. It ends up being a farce, when at the end of the day, this is going to be a bloody regime change, and it's known, and so it's and so the media has an interesting place to play in this. It's the media wants the battle, wants the carnage, but then also wants the critique at the same time, and so it's just going to be a very interesting debate that continually happens as we go into this new war landscape, and so it's kind of dizzying going from a pandemic into a war.
And let me tell you that, and let me say this, B, you and I know that is the big part of this. And I'm saying the American folks, and I mean Black people in this country, we are just at a space where we're tired. We're super tired. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of the propaganda. We're tired of, when we seem to make some semblance of progress, we get knocked back down. Mm-hmm. So to throw in international affairs and then the possibility, the very real possibility of us going to war where Black and brown particularly will be called upon to defend the interests of this country at the expense, the biggest expense, which is the truth. We're going to be called upon, or we're going to be called upon either not to be a part of the military, but to rally the troops, to be a part of the group that says, come on, we got to go to war. We got to go to war.
The recruitment.
The recruitment, just giving ourselves to a cause that we don't gain from.
Right.
Let me just share this with you. And this is the thing, like the president, again, going back to the statement, the president knows how serious making a statement like that is at this particular moment when you're trying to keep tensions low. Washington Post writers Tyler Pate and Matt Weiser, they did a piece around this. And on their piece, they talked about how President Biden often discusses or often mentions that words matter. The president often talks about the heavy weight that the words of a president can carry. They've heard the president say things like the words of a president matter. They can move markets. They can send our brave men and women to war. They can bring peace. That's how serious the words of the United States of America's president really is. They can move markets. They can call brave men and women to go to war, and they can bring peace. You have to be so focused in times like these, in moments like these, that you don't make those comments. Because as a result, people are going to get afraid. And when people are afraid, they become irrational. And when they become irrational, the thought process of good judgment goes out the window.
And I think this was always the dangerous part about electing Joe Biden to be president. This was always the dangerous part because I mean he's had a career of F-bombs. He's had a career of being emotional with his speeches, and so and it revs the people up. He's a total Kanye in the game, and so it's and
you say he's a Kanye in the game, B?
He is a Kanye in the game.
He just said, I would say Donald Trump is a Kanye in the game. Biden does say some wild stuff.
Joe Biden is wild. And he's always been wild. He's had a very wild political career, and so he's always been a little firecracker. Like verbally, like there's plenty of reels of his F-bombs. There's plenty of reels of, pinching chinks also, but that's another story. But yeah, Joe Biden can't necessarily stick to the script. He never has. He won't. And so as a result, we're most likely going to end up going into battle.
My question, I guess, to you is, as a woman, as an artist, as a member of the community, do you think that can be averted?
No, I don't, Farajii. We are being set up for the next world war, and so whether it happens today, whether it happens tomorrow, these are the total chess pieces that get played in order to make those decisions happen, and so and a large part of this is being funded by crypto, which is very interesting, so we're going into a total regime change, in a way that we have not seen before, and so it's like, and at the end of it, we're most likely going to come out with a very popular alternative commerce.
It's and that's interesting, and that's another conversation that we definitely need to have: the impact of cryptocurrency and how it's being used, and the value and all of those things as it relates to this particular conflict. And I'm each day that we talk about it, I'm putting it out there. Let us not get into a place where we become where we fall for the okie doke. Let's not get into a place where we just think, oh, okay, if this is the American way, boom, 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 I'm going to just go ahead and do it. We really do have to get into a place where we are intentional and we are sure about where we stand on this issue. Because if we're not sure, then what we're going to do is just be blown like by the winds of propaganda, by the winds of rhetoric, into a place that we can't get ourselves out of. We have to sound the alarm that this war that we're inching upon, that this level of involvement that we are inching upon does not meet or does not speak to the interest of us. It speaks to the interest, or quote unquote, of the idea of democracy. But where we are in this country, both black and white, Asian, Latino, domestically, dealing with the various issues that we have, this war, I don't see it fitting in or speaking to the real interest of any of those issues. It doesn't speak to it.
Which war has? I mean, I guess we can go back to the civil.
I mean, some war, and I mean, look.
I mean, but like, which war have civilians actually gotten behind?
I like how you made that clarity. Because war benefits corporations.
Always has,
war
always will.
Benefits government, right? But wars, and I mean, unless you're talking about everything from like the Revolutionary War, when we're looking at a situation where the citizens, the constituents, the civilians are going to gain something from it. But that is the big question. That is why we got to be clear about this. Let me just share with you, B, and to our listening audience, that as a result of how President Biden is handling this situation, according to some of the latest polls from NBC, for example, 7 in 10 Americans believe or they have low confidence in the president's ability to deal with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. His approval falls to 40% in a new NBC poll. Now, if you are looking at the polls, which I know they do, if you're a political official and you're looking at these poll numbers and you're saying, big talk of war is not going to be helpful. Big talk of regime change is not going to be helpful. You got to be sure that this is what you want to bring the American people into. And as we just got out of a 20-year war in Afghanistan, as we are still recovering from all of the other minor wars or conflicts that we've been in, that this country has been involved in, you got to ask yourself the question: Do we want to go from a public health crisis to a military war?
Of course not. But that's the hand that we've been dealt.
Right.
It's literally the hand that we've been dealt. You know, our gas prices are soaring, our food prices are soaring. It's literally the hand that we've been dealt, and we don't have a choice. The American people don't have a choice. Black people don't have a choice on these situations, you know. And so in the moment you start talking about that choice, you know, and acting on that, you know, then it literally takes you out of the ballot box and into the streets.
Yeah. Let me just throw this out there. Look, people are checking in on our YouTube page, and folks, you could do the same. Just go to YouTube, Facebook, wherever you can. Most importantly, go to blackstarnetwork.com to watch us live. Metric 1974, he said, no, this would be the war of all wars. Y'all don't understand. Metric, I'm with you. I feel like it would be. Epic
they're
Chain
pulling
said,
out all guns.
Say it again.
They're pulling out all the stops with this. Nukes, drones, everything. Chemical warfare. We got solar flares going down. It's all the stops are being plugged. So
and it's just bringing in, and I mean, when you're talking about the people, the stakeholders, China, Russia, Poland, of course, Ukraine, when you're talking about all of these countries that we have relationships with, and I'm saying we as the United States of America have relationships with, to sustain this country. To sustain this country. Man. Epic Chain said, don't understand what the uproar is. It's like some want Putin to continue doing what he's doing. Some Americans are addicted to strong men and bullies. The uproar, and Epic, I know you're a loyal watcher of Black Star Network. I would love for you to clarify that, what the uproar is about the comments or the uproar about the conflict itself. I want to make sure I understand. Carla Johnson said, look, Putin will eventually be removed. Let him be removed by his people. I mean, let it. And see, that's the other insult. If that's the other insult, the insult is that America got to come in and do the quote unquote the will of the people, right? That's what they often say. We doing the will of the people. Well, which people are you talking about? Are you talking about the American people? Are you talking about the people that leader presides over? Who are you talking about? And if it's the people that leader presides over, why can't you let them deal with that? Oh, because you got interest in removing certain people. You don't like them, therefore they're not good for the people who is living under their leadership.
I would really like to know the deals that were struck between Donald Trump and Putin. I really want to know about the result of their exchanges, Farajii. I remember the people were very upset and about these two bullies getting together, breaking bread, drinking vodka.
And look, and what people say as we close out on this part of the conversation, people say, well, if Donald Trump was in office, we wouldn't have this. If Donald Trump was in office right now, we would be probably in a civil war, not an international war.
We'd be in civil war.
Come on, let's not act like, oh, Donald Trump. Let's not get into a space where we start a la carting, somebody's agenda. Well, Donald Trump wouldn't have brought us in a war with Russia. Okay, he may not. We don't know. But he did a whole bunch of other stuff to hurt us domestically. So then, okay, we're not waging war with Russia, but we wage a war with ourselves. We wage a war with the American government. Still, Epic said he's talking about the comments itself. The uproar comes, dear brother, because of the fact that I truly believe that the president was not to reveal that was the intention of the U.S. Strategy in Russia. The intention. That's why I think there's the uproar, because it's like, oh, the president just shared us some backdoor dealing motivations. And now it's obvious. It's obvious. Look, we're going to take a quick pause on this. But of course, we're going to keep our eyes on it. But this situation, as you and I know, can go from 0 to 100, as Drake said, real quick.
Real quick.
We got to take a quick pause, folks. When we come back, let's continue to talk about what's happening across the waters. We're going to check in with Mr. Sinclair Skinner, who is a political strategist, to give us some insight as to what's going on with our brothers and sisters, the African students that are still in Ukraine, still trying to get out, still trying to find shelter in the midst of all of this conflict. So stay with us for that conversation that's coming up next right here on The Culture, only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, as we continue the conversation about what's going on across the water with Russia and Ukraine, we must not forget about the great struggle and plight that are facing African students. There are still a great number of African students that are stuck in Ukraine who were not able to get across the border. And many of us, even though those stories are starting to become more and more illuminated, it speaks volumes about the value of Black life on the international level. Here to give us some insight about this situation is Mr. Sinclair Skinner, who serves as the co-founder of the Racial Profiling Act. Sinclair, thank you so much, brother, for checking in and being a part of the conversation. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the work you're doing to make sure we all stay plugged in to the truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You actually have been doing some work around making sure that the story and the narrative of African students in this particular conflict is not forgotten. You started a website. You serve as the president and CEO of iloveblackpeople.com. You had a chance to go to Poland and help some of the brothers and sisters, the African students that are in Ukraine. First and foremost, brother, I mean, that sounds like a very, very serious mission. Talk to us a little bit about what happened across the waters.
Well, they were having a problem of evacuating the brothers and sisters that were fleeing the war in Ukraine. And they ended up fleeing not just war, but also the racism in the Ukraine. There's, of course, Europe, America, there's still a big systemic problem of racism. And you would think that people would be so afraid in the war to be racist, they'd be more, worried about their own lives, but that's not the case. The racism they felt was they were not even allowed to get on the buses that were leaving. They were told to step back. There was even, people try to say, oh, they're only allowing Ukrainian folks. They weren't checking passports and visas like that. They were, if you looked like you was Black or brown, you had to stay back. It was a Black stick around, Black stay back, but it was literally white folks who were the only ones that could flee. And they were, not being properly housed or given food. And once they got across the border to Poland, we were supporting those folks on the ground who were helping those Black folks get to either back home, get in contact with their embassies. We were providing technical support to help them identify safe places. So my background is engineering, so we were looking for ways that we could help using our technical application, and that's what we did. So there was brothers and sisters who literally weren't getting the same opportunity to stay at people's houses. So the people in Poland were opening their doors to the refugees, people fleeing, but they were very selective. They wanted to help out Ukrainians and not, brothers and sisters from Cameroon or Zimbabwe or Nigeria, these other places. So we wanted to make sure that we gave resources and support for those people on the ground. And actually, it was quite a few students and Black working folks that are working already in Poland who actually were standing up and helping out. So what the work we did was really to undergird, to support, and help those who are already on the ground doing the great work.
Brother Sinclair, and I appreciate you for kind of giving us that update, because that seems very consistent with what we have been seeing, some of the images that we have been seeing. But one of the questions that I have for you is, are the numbers still, they say there were about 80,000 students, 4,000 that came from Nigeria alone. What have you seen? Does that kind of fit the reality of what you're seeing, that there were that many young people, Black students there?
Yeah, so the total number, I think, of students is around 80,000. And then there was a subset of that who were coming across the borders. Some went to Romania, some went to Hungary, some went to, a great deal went to Poland. And the tricky part is that many times it's easier for these students to get visas to study in countries like Poland and Ukraine. And then they would take their visas, they can work, and then ultimately, go to countries like Germany or the UK or France that have a stronger economy. So to many students coming from, and this was even Indian students from India and other places, they could come into Europe almost in the lowest hanging fruit part of it, where the Polish and the Ukrainians, their economies are pretty sad. Just when I went up there, it was almost like you could tell these people already had a hard life, not even with a war. If I was going to use like an image, just imagine like West Virginia coal miners going through a hard day. Like it was that type of European experience. So the brothers and sisters go there because they can get in those schools, and most universities are free for citizens of these European countries. So these 75, 80,000 students are providing actual income. So the local students, the Ukrainians, they don't pay to go to university. Unlike America, many European countries have free higher education. But when you're a foreign student, you actually are bringing in cash into the economy. And these young brothers and sisters were computer science engineers. We have one brother was getting his PhD in medical physics. Like, so we're talking about some of the nursing's huge. They actually, and the classes that they're taught, many of the classes are taught in English. So for the local Ukrainians, their classes are all in Ukrainian. But then they've set up a system basically just to attract foreign students and that foreign dollar to come in and to go to school there. And then many of those students will go on to go to the UK and be a nurse because they can get paid higher amounts of nursing. And many of these students spoke English already. So, I really noticed there's a lot of things going on. And I think as Black Americans, we don't understand how racist the visa system is. It's really racist. Like, you and I can go like the fact that I could just get up and go to Poland just because I wanted to and had the funds to go. That's not what people that look like us experience all over the world. Most people that look like us have barriers that prevent them from actually being able to go to other countries.
I think to add to that point, Brother Sinclair, you're talking about just some of the challenges. I'm wondering, is the quality of education, well, two questions. One is the quality of education that students are getting from Ukraine top quality? And two, are students getting this education and then going back home? I know you say they matriculate to the United Kingdom, But do they go back home to their homeland, Nigeria, Cameroon, and to other countries back in Africa?
By and large, no. Now, let me tell you what some of these students will tell you. Like, they really had a false image of white folks in general. They see Hollywood, they see all these amazing places, and then they end up in places like Ukraine and Poland, where these countries are very, not very sophisticated as far as like compared to a New York City or some of the images. But this is what happens. The access to economic opportunities, these schools, many of the students that come to these universities already have a degree. What they're using these universities for is a gateway, as a way to get to a student visa, and then give themselves another opportunity to travel to another country in Europe where they actually can make more money. And the wages in their home countries, of course, are depressed. And again, I think as African Americans or Black Americans, what we don't understand, this system is on purpose. Like, I had somebody ask me about, is immigration help Black Americans? And immigration don't help nobody. Like, when you forced to leave your country to go get a job someplace else, ain't nobody born saying, I want to give up my birthright so I can be cleaning toilets somewhere. So what we don't get is that the people who benefit from this immigration policy are the same people who benefited from the enslavement and transatlantic slave trade and everything else. It's a handful of the oligarchs, a handful of capitalists that are able to pit the native people against the immigrant population for lower wages. And so out of desperation, they say mother of invention is, what was it? Necessity is the mother of invention, but we say desperation is the father. So people will actually go to Poland to get to the UK, to get to wages that make sense. But a lot of it's a hustle. When they start looking at how much it costs for them to actually stay in these countries, the amount of work they got to do, they live in very small housing accommodations. Like, they're coming from countries where they're used to having like expansive land and people know each other. You come from like Abuja or Lagos or Harare, and then you go to like Lublin, Poland, where people are like living in these little bitty cubicles just so they don't have to pay that much money. They working all day, they taking these classes, it almost is like a hamster wheel. And the real beneficiaries are the countries like Ukraine and Poland, because they get this influx of brains. Like, even when we talk about slavery and enslaving our people, I think one of the tricks we got played was that we thought they were just stealing our physicality. But literally, it was our brains that transformed Europe. And it was our brains that actually, the cotton gin, all the things, all these inventions, all these things that progress, all the culture that you see in these countries came from our, and I don't talk Black supremacy, but it's Black primacy. We're the first civilized people. So we've had thousands and thousands of years to perfect best practices about living together. So when you start looking at that and how Europe was able to advance itself by actually kidnapping, stealing, killing folks, and taking what they created, and then they came up with this other thing called erasure, where they literally steal everything you did, and then erase the fact you existed. So literally, Poland and Ukraine, these countries in Eastern Europe, are able to elevate their standard of living by bringing in these super brilliant Black people who don't have options within their countries, because, again, we don't want to talk about it, but the biggest killer of people probably in the last 50 years has been the United States government. I don't want to get too weird on here, but
no, it ain't getting too weird on me.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
this is the culture. This is Black folks we're talking to.
So humbly, the people who've been overthrowing these governments in Africa, they create a unstable environment where now our people have to flee. And of course, they'll blame the Black. Like, we're the only people that can be the victim and the villain in our own movie. Like, we'll literally be getting whooped, and then they'll blame us for us getting whooped.
That's
so
crazy.
I even heard folks say, well, why were those Africans in the Ukraine in the first place? Like, we're the only ones people question why we somewhere. Like, it's Europeans and Indians all over Africa, and nobody questioning why they there. And if there was a war that broke out, nobody would say, well, maybe they should stay and fight. You would never. And if they, for some reason, had a white woman, a Black or white boy who was stuck as a student in that African country, and they said they were going to let their own African people leave first while the white folks had to stay behind, no one would tolerate that. That would be absurd. You mean these people are visitors to your country, and you're going to not let them get out of there first? But since it's black folks were coming with all kind of justification for the young people who, many of them, their first time away from home, how they had to wait while they allowed the Ukrainian women to leave. Well, you from Ukraine. That's your country. You should stay and fight. Let us visitors get the heck out of here and go someplace to finish our school. But we allow these crazy narratives that come from our own self-hate, where we allow folks to. Did
we lose Brother Sinclair? Looks like, there we got you.
You got me? Yeah, I apologize. I started moving my hands so much. But yes, we got to stop letting people, demean who we are. And then we got to keep justifying our humanity when, no, if the students are stuck because of a war, we should get those foreign students out. If it was white people in Africa or black folks in Europe, these young people don't deserve to be subjected to a war, period, full stop.
Right. I want to bring culture crew member B Fly back into this because I know she got something she could add to this. What's your question and what's your thought about what Brother Sinclair is sharing, B?
Mic check. Yeah, so I just want to thank Brother Sinclair for the work that he does, because you are preaching. Like, let me tell you something. Black people are always the victims and the oppressors. Like, how is that? Like, and then we have to clean up the mess that we didn't make, but then we're victimized through. And it's so and it's a product of our constant erasure, and this is real. And so how do we create a system of, like, in our life to where we can see these situations and then but still elevate from them while we're still trying to live? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we do this? Like, do we invest our full souls into this land, or do we actually start moving into a place of Black land wealth and Black solidarity, like an actual Black separation from this constant cycle of psychosis that we are in, living with our oppressors constantly,
Yeah. The thing that because I definitely agree with this. I think now we have to look at community across borders. I think these borders were made by our oppressors. They weren't made for us. They weren't made to help us. With I Love Black People, with our racial profiling app, we're really creating it wasn't our idea. It was Victor Green. We were actually using the basis of the Green Book. And one of the misnomers, a lot of times people think the Green Book was about Black wealth, and it wasn't. It was literally about Black folks not being murdered and lynched. So the fundamental premise of the Green Book was Black survival, making sure Black people were protected from the harms and humiliations of Jim Crow, American apartheid. What we've done is taken that same concept. And I didn't say this, but the reason why we were able to easily go to Poland, we have members of I Love Black People who've been helping us develop this app, who actually were students in Poland, helping friends and family and people flee Ukraine. So that's why when I got there, I had somebody to pick me up from the airport. The whole thing was set up literally because we had decided to create community, not just about being Black, because that you can still get poverty pimps and weird things, but our concept is about protecting Black people. If you're interested in protecting Black people, utilizing this app to identify safe places, we call it Black friendly. You go into a location, you get a notification on your phone that says, is this place Black friendly? And literally in 8 key categories: healthcare, legal, food, shelter, transportation, education / childcare, beauty, and finance. 8 key areas. We're identifying globally Black friendly spaces, places that no matter where you are in the world, you can move about fearlessly. Now, once we start connecting all these education places, all these healthcare places, we can create our own global healthcare network. Just imagine, even if you're in like Poland, we identified restaurants that were Black owned and Black friendly based on the local Black folks. So some of the restaurants weren't Black owned, but when you go there, they're going to treat you with dignity and respect. They're not going to deny your service. Same thing with healthcare. There's some places where the doctors were Asian in Europe, but they were people that local Black community said they treat us with dignity and respect. So our thing is identifying these places, no matter where we are in the world, and then linking those. Once we got that, that's our first phase. We're in our first phase right now. But once we get those places identified, we've already identified about 30,000 businesses globally. Once we get all those businesses in different categories, now we're linking them so that no matter where you go, and it's free, none of this you got to pay for. Being a part of I Love Black People is a matter of downloading the app and supporting the cause. But once we got that established, now we could do a global international homeschooling network. We've identified all these educators and the education facilities all over the world that are Black friendly. Now we can create our own school systems. We don't have to use brick and mortar concepts the way we've used them up to now. We now have some technologies that allow us to scale in what they call zero marginal cost. Zero in the tech space, zero marginal cost is just like using StreamYard. The more people on StreamYard, it doesn't increase the price of to actually operate StreamYard. It literally is zero marginal cost. If I'm on my iPhone and you're on your iPhone, it doesn't cost more for Apple. Literally, they have the economies of scale now, and they actually can just expand. Software is very scalable. We can create these virtual networks so that no matter where we are in the world, we have a safety net. So we don't have to depend on the system that these Europeans have created to oppress us. I think one of the things we often say is white supremacist ideology must be destroyed, okay? And we say ideology because even when there's no Europeans in the room, the system works on this ideology. Even Black folks can have that ideology, right? What I saw in Ukraine, it's not going to be Black folks that destroy white supremacist ideology. White folks are going to destroy white supremacist ideology. They're going to destroy themselves. The question is, what are we going to have to replace it? When I saw those poor white folks being bombed into like oblivion, and when I would listen to the U.S. media talking about cheering these Ukrainians on, them Ukrainians did not want to fight. Like them Ukrainians were like, what the hell happened? Just a day ago, I was cooling in Kyiv. There's been deliberate policies made to instigate this conflict, and whatever. And I'm clear that what Russia did is wrong to invade. So I'm not justifying that. But what I am saying, there's always more than one way to do something. And there was many diplomatic pathways that were just cut off. There was many things that when they were talking about how to avoid an invasion, that would say, well, we're not going to do that. If you can't accept us not doing that, then do what you got to do. Well, okay. Now that's easy. You sitting over in Chicago or DC like me, giving somebody ultimatums, well, take it or leave it. Okay. Now they start bombing DC, I would be like, maybe I should have took it instead of leaving it, because I'm being bombed. Like you can't, like whatever that option was, bombing people where you got now millions, like literally almost tens of millions of people displaced, dreams destroyed, homes destroyed. You're telling me that was a better option than what Putin was saying? Maybe I doubt it. But I apologize.
Hey, no problem. And I'm just gotta stop you just for the sake of time, Brother Sinclair. But I gotta bring you back on, because not only are you doing some things in a virtual space like with iloveblackpeople.com, but you also are a political strategist. You understand the dynamics of politics. And we're in that place right now, and I want to share with the people the other part of our conversation that we've had offline, because I think you can serve as a huge contributor to that discussion of Black political power, because I feel like this is the time to start moving forward on a lot of those ideas. We may not have gotten it off 10 years ago, 25 years ago, or even 50 years ago. But in 2022, and even as we get into 2023 and 24, I think the time is just right for that. But I want to give you like 10 seconds, let people know about the work that you're doing with I Love Black People.
Yeah. They can check us out at iloveblackpeople.com. That's the best way to reach us. You can see all the work we're doing. Like I said, it's free. What we really need now is people who can recommend these Black friendly spaces globally. I don't care if it's in Mexico, if it's in Appalachian Mountains, wherever it is, we need those. And I think even with our political conversations, and I notice already with just listening to your show, that kindness goes a long way. Kind words, kind actions, kind thoughts. I'm not alluding to anything that happened previous to today, but we have been going through trauma. And with all this war talk and all this pandemic talk, this stuff is traumatizing. And we're walking through trying to normalize our own torment. And I'm just saying, kind words don't cost nothing.
Yep.
And if you can't use kind words, don't say. Sometimes it's better not to say nothing.
That's it. That's it. Brother Sinclair Skinner, I appreciate you, co-founder of the racial profiling app. You can check out iloveblackpeople.com. Brother Sinclair, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, we would certainly love to bring you back on to discuss other issues, dear brother.
Awesome. Thank y'all both. Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about the slap that was heard around the world. Let me tell you, there are so many dynamics at play that I got a fantastic panel of folks. We're going to be joined, of course, by B Fly. We got Nira Muhammad, and I got comedian Larry Lancaster that are all going to be a part of the conversation. And of course, we're going to hear from you. So make sure you post your comments, share your thoughts. Let's continue to talk about what happened last night between Will Smith, Chris Rock, and the Oscars. Stay with us. That discussion is coming up next, right here on The Culture, only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, welcome back to the show. Phenomenal first hour.
Let's find the way it is
on The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. And we got a lot to talk about. But of course, this hour, we're going to talk about what we saw. If you did not get a chance to see it, what happened at the Oscars last night that got everybody talking. I got inundated with messages and just got into so many conversations in the midnight hour. Of course, you know, I'm on the East Coast. The Oscars were happening on the West Coast in Los Angeles, 3-hour time difference. But I want to play for you what happened. What happened yesterday that got everybody in a tizzy. Check this out.
Hardest job tonight, Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay. Okay.
Wow. Wow. To say the least, I'm just blown away. Folks, had to have this conversation. There are so many pieces and so many angles to this discussion. I did not want to just have this by myself, so I wanted to bring in some folks that have differing views. We don't all think the same way on this issue. So we were happy to have, of course, Culture Crew member B Fly to join us for this, as she serves as the co-founder of Blackwater Production House. We're also joined by my wife, Nira Muhammad, who is an author and activist educator, and she's the host of Queen Talks with Nira Muhammad that can be heard on all podcasting streaming platforms. And we're also joined by comedian Larry Lancaster. Folks, Larry, Nira, B, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
All right, so I want to start with the comedian in the room right now. I want to start with you, Larry, because I'm trying to understand, and I've always wanted to ask a comedian this question publicly. I've talked to y'all privately, but publicly. Are there anything that are off limits? Are there any boundaries that comedians should not and would not cross in order to get a laugh? Can you hear me, Larry? All right, so we're going to go back to Larry. Let me just do this. Let's take a quick pause. When we come back, we're going to make sure all of our technical skill, everything technically is sound. But folks, let's take a quick break.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, we can hear you?
Oh, yeah. And I can hear you, Farajii, as well.
Mic check.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Larry.
Okay, because I can't hear anything.
Oh,
you
no.
Can't hear anything. Okay. All right, look, we're going to get that taken care of. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come
You
back.
want me to go out and come back in?
Yep. When we come back, we're going to have this conversation talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, the implications. Plus, I'm going to give you some of the latest updates around this whole situation. Absolutely crazy. Stay with us. It's The Culture on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially at Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans distributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
I believe that people our age have lost the ability to focus the discipline on the art of organizing.
The challenges, there's so many of them and they're complex, and we need to be moving to address them. But I'm able to say, watch out, Tiffany. I know this road.
That is so freaking dope.
Folks, welcome back to the show. All right, looks like we got everything rocking and rolling. All right, so let's talk about the slap that was heard around the world. Will Smith slapped Oscar host Chris Rock last night after a joke about G.I. Jane directed to Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Now, I want to bring back my panel of folks to give us some insight in their analysis of what went wrong with this. Comedian Larry Lancaster, Culture Crew member B. Fly, co-founder of Blackwater Production House, and my wife, Nira Muhammad, who is an artist, educator, and the host of Queen Talks with Nira Muhammad on all streaming platforms. So, Larry, get back to my original question. Is there anything that is off limits for a comedian? Is there anything, whether it's personal loss, sickness, social issues, anything off limits for a comedian?
I think that's a broad question. Most comedians would say no, but I think that's really up to the individual comedian. For myself, there are things that are off limits for me. I don't like low-hanging fruit. Like if I'm at a comedy club and an obese, and obviously obese woman walks in, I'm not going to do 30 minutes of fat jokes. Like I don't do things like that. I don't make fun of the physically or mentally challenged. just to be mean. And I think that's where I draw the line. I try never to be mean-spirited. I don't really go out of my way not to offend people, but I definitely don't go out of my way to offend people either. And of course, for anything you say, there's always consequences.
Absolutely. So do you feel like as a professional comedian, and I've seen people say, oh, Chris Rock that was such a tasteless joke. What do you think? Was that joke tasteless or was it misinterpreted?
I don't think it was a tasteless joke. To me, the joke wasn't even that bad, especially considering the things that I've heard other people say about Will and Jada. It was kind of like a backhanded compliment, if you will, because I don't know if you're old enough to remember when that movie came out. Everyone said that G.I. Jane looked great. Everyone applauded her for having the bald head. So it was not like he said the worst thing he could have said. I just feel like Will was out of line. He shouldn't have smacked him. I felt like it was disingenuous because he laughed at first, and it was almost like Jada got upset and kicked him under the table, and then he felt like, okay, I have to go and defend her honor. I just think it was a lot of displaced anger. And I also believe that if a white comic had said it, he wouldn't have walked up there and smacked Will. And I just don't like to see us not getting along in mixed company, and not even trying to be equal to white folks, because I'm not making that argument either, because I think we care too much about what they think. I just didn't like it.
You just didn't like it. So you don't think Chris did any wrong on this? You're saying that Will is the wrong person in this scenario.
At this point, it's not even if Chris was wrong. I still think Will's reaction was so egregious that we're not even talking about if Chris' joke was inappropriate or not. It's like trying to kill a gnat with a cannon. He did way too much. He could have pulled him to the side and had a private conversation with him. And you don't get points for smacking Chris Rock.
You don't get points for smacking Chris Rock. All right, let me go to my culture crew members, B-Fly and Nira Muhammad. First, Nira, what's your take on what you saw?
It was messy. I'm gonna say that messy at best. I from my perspective, like when everything popped off, I was literally thinking in my head, like, this is a situation where Jada has probably had a lot of insecurities. I know as Black women, especially, we have a lot of insecurities when it comes to our hair. We just had a conversation about hair. I know I would be going through a lot of insecurities if I had the same condition as she has as well. Not having, like, she has no control over that. That's like me not having control over my weight because of my celiac disease. Who knows how many nights Jada may have cried or felt ugly or unbeautiful because of her hair or lack thereof. And who knows how many times Will has had to comfort her. That's a side of her that only her husband and her family would know. So for me, I felt like, as Larry mentioned, at first, Will was kind of like, okay, this is kind of funny. But then the moment that he looked and he noticed, like, okay, that's not funny to my wife. He knows the struggles that Jada has had with her, you know, maybe her beauty, something that we don't know. So I feel like he was taking on her energy. And I also think that the Smiths, they take a lot of heat. People are constantly making fun of Will Smith and Jada all the time. And so for me, it was like, that was like a moment where he was like, okay, you crossed the line. Like, once you start talking about my wife, her beauty, her hair, that is a very sensitive topic. Having a condition that you do not have control over is serious. This is not just a situation where she decided, I want to cut my hair off. This is a medical condition. I don't think it was funny. I never think it's funny to make fun of Black women, especially our hair. Never.
Yeah. Or Black women who publicly has announced that she does have some condition.
Like that's just not okay. That's like someone saying, like, oh, you know, Nira, what are you smoking, crack? Because the last time I saw you, you weren't that skinny, not realizing, oh, I have celiac disease and I struggle with my weight. So some things to me is just like they're distasteful because you don't know what people's inner struggles are. That's the issue.
Right. That's a great point. B, one of the big things, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Will Smith and Chris Rock have been having a little bit of a tension in their relationship since 2016. Chris Rock hosted the Oscars then and joked about Jada Pinkett Smith and her husband boycotting the Oscars under that hashtag Oscars So White. And he declared, this is Chris Rock speaking, saying that Spike Lee, Jada, and Will Smith all went mad over the issue as there were no Black acting nominees this year. That year, he said, quote, Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
No.
So this is like a buildup.
This is from 2016. So B,
we've been want to smack him for a while.
I mean, that could have been the case. That could have been the case. B, I mean,
his remarks are evidence of no growth over all of this time, you know? And so it's like during this moment, you know, I appreciated Will being able to defend his wife's honor and struggle. You know, that is really important. And from what I've gathered outside looking in within this couple, they totally ride for each other. And so when it comes to Jada and her revolutionary act of this of her big chop in order to get in front of alopecia, like this is real. And Chris is the producer of a black hair documentary. And so it's like there, and so he is well aware of her struggle, because it's not like she has struggled in silence. She has totally taken her story into her public persona. Like, so she's there with it. So for Chris to do that, I think this was indicative of once upon a time, there were men in the building who would just laugh at the expense of other women. But we are recognizing a shift in policy, a shift in social norms. And if you didn't understand, now let it be known. This is now the bar of expectation, because it's always been the bar of expectation. And Black women have let it be known whole time. We expect protection. We expect you to provide this protection. And there has been instance after instance after instance in the public eye when we have not been protected, and the egg has ended up on our face. So yes, shout out Will Smith for slapping Chris Rock in front of all of us, you know? And so someone said in the chat, like, yo, he could have just, whispered a little threat. But no, you know what I'm saying?
But B,
like, there is, what's up?
I'm agreeing with you. B, was the disrespect to the side? Was the joke to the side in private? No, it was for the world to see. Center
stage.
Center
So
stage.
the repercussion needs to be center stage.
Center stage.
Well.
I agree.
One of the things that
appreciate the fact that Black women should be protected, but there's more than one way to do that. And that's not the only way to protect Black women. Part of being a man and protecting a Black woman is making sound decisions and having good judgment. And smacking someone in front of millions of people when you could lose your freedom or you could lose your life, that's not really protection. I think that was just his ego speaking out.
I don't think I don't think he was going to lose his life or lose his.
Hold on. They were trying to make my point. The point is this: they are public people, and they've definitely spent a lot of time exposing their private lives to people. And when you do that, you have to understand there's going to be a response. So here's the thing about also was the joke to the side. He's hosting the Oscars. So of course the joke is not going to be to the side. You understand when you come to a place like that, you have a host, you have a comedian, you're not going to like everything that the comic says. I'm not saying Will shouldn't have got upset. I'm not saying Jada shouldn't have got upset. What I am saying is that his response was over the top, and there's more than one way to protect Black women, and violence is not the way to do that. And here's why. You're not going to smack everybody that says anything about your woman. If Mike Tyson had said that same joke, would going up on stage and smacking Mike Tyson been an option? No. So if you're not going to do that with him, you shouldn't do that with skinny, nerdy, geek Chris Rock. And so I just think it was a disingenuous thing to do, and he could have found another way to protect his queen.
All right, let me go to some comments because folks are checking in. Karina checked in and said, Jada is not the first to have alopecia and not the exception. Will could have even told the man off, but you don't put your hands on nobody when they have not put you in any physical danger. All right. Epic Chain say 2 black men literally put their careers in jeopardy last night.
They did not put their careers in jeopardy. No, they didn't. Please stop. So they're not ever get an acting gig again? Please stop. That is straight bull crap. That's bullshit. That's
He literally
bullshit.
got Best Actor 10 minutes later.
Thank you. Let's be real. It's not. It's bull crap. Now, I'm not condoning violence either. I'm not saying you'll smack everybody. Farajii, I would never be like, oh, go smack this dude. But for me, this is just my perspective. I think this was a build up. I don't think that this is like, oh, one thing happened and then Will just went off. Personally, I feel like this is a build up, and this was a man who was just fed up in that moment. I put it in the chat. Why do we hold celebrities to this higher hierarchy of standards? Like, they're human too. They have the same emotions that we have. Will has emotions. Jada has emotions. They are human just like we are. You see me struggle with my struggles. I can't say that for sure, like, oh, Farajii, somebody's making fun of me, something that has really, really bothered me. You might go smack a dude, and I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I didn't want you to go smack him. But that's because you're like, I'm tired of people disrespecting my wife. I should not have smacked that man at that moment, but that was what was in me. Like, I don't think that Will purposely went and smacked that dude just to get street cred. I think that he literally was just like, it was a moment where he acted off of pure emotion, which we all do at times, so we can stop acting high and mighty like, oh, well, he's in his 40s or he's in his 50s. He shouldn't do that. We are all human. You're going to make mistakes all the way up to the moment that you die. So let's get off our high horse, please.
No, I think people can have their opinions about what happened. And here's why that's not really a very good argument as far as they're human, because too much is given, much is expected. And if you have the opportunity and the exclusivity to be at the Oscars, you're a high-paid actor. You make $20 million. You don't get to be that person by being undisciplined, and you shouldn't risk all of that because you reacted in a moment. And
I don't think he risked anything.
Said, it was misplaced. It was very misplaced. And the other thing is, if Farajii smacked somebody, the penalty will be completely different.
It'll be much different because he's not a celebrity.
Were at an award show and someone
he's not a celebrity,
and Raji walked up and smacked somebody, his response and his penalty will be different because he's not Will Smith. So the same way Will Smith can hide behind the fact that he was actually able to get that close to Chris Rock, he has to control himself and have a certain degree of discipline.
Yeah.
I'm sick of black women being the butt of black men jokes. How about that? How about you said that you don't think that Will would have smacked him if he was white. How about why do black men always have to make fun of black women? How about that? How about make fun of a white woman? What do you make fun of a white woman's hair?
And that's a good argument, sis. I mean, no one's denying that. But what we're talking about is Will Smith's reaction. I'm not
saying Will should have smacked that man, but I'm just saying that I feel like this was a build up.
We're not saying he shouldn't have defended Jada. What we're saying is his reaction was over the top. And too many times we respond like that as black men, and we know the penalty is going to be much harsher and much different depending on your social and economic background and your race.
I don't think that Will Smith is in jeopardy in any way, though, in this situation.
But here's what I'm saying. It sets an example for other people who are not Will Smith.
Oh, by the way, I saw in the chat that it said that 95. Like, I'm gonna tell you from social media, because she said in the chat like most people are against Will, but like only like 5% are for Will. I gotta tell you, on my social media, it's the complete opposite. Complete opposite. Everyone is like, Will, yes, he deserved to get smacked. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I think he deserved to get smacked. I don't think he should have smacked that man on live TV. But I'm saying I think that it came from just a buildup of emotions and him acting irrationally in that moment.
Here's another issue. The same way we want black women protected, there's also an issue where we have black on black crime, where we have more instances of black men perpetrating that on each other. And that's a ramification of self-hatred. We live in a city where we have over 300 murders a year. Over the slightest little thing, over he stepped on my sneakers, over he ain't from round the way. So we had to really manage ourselves with this type of thing.
But see, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like Will was that kind of dude, though. I feel like, again, like Farajii mentioned, this has been brewing for years now. So I don't think that this is just like a one-time occurrence where Will was like, yo, he disrespected my wife, I'm about to smack the shit out of him. I think this is like, I think it's a situation where he's like, yo, I'm tired of people talking about my wife. I'm tired of my wife being the butt of people's jokes. I'm tired of being the one that has to wipe her tears at the expense of other people's laughter. Man, that's whatever.
But a lot of that
Let me just throw this in there
too. Some of the stuff that people have said about them is also self-inflicted. Listen, you can't just go around smacking every time somebody says something about you.
I agree.
No, not at all.
Now, if Chris Rock had physically touched his wife or insulted her to a certain degree, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying he shouldn't been upset. I'm not saying he shouldn't have defended his wife, but his actions were too egregious for the moment. It didn't fit the punishment didn't fit the crime.
But you won't nobody talk about Jada no more.
Here's the thing.
Oh, and people are talking about it now.
No, and here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I've been seeing a lot of
Will. Let me hold on. There are a couple of things that we should keep in mind. One is that the Academy has condemned Will's actions, and Nira and Larry. They have strongly considered not bringing him back for any other activities after this situation. Now, here's why I think Will Smith's career is still going to be somewhat intact, because I think over the years he has mounted a high social capital. If we could quantify the level of love and respect that we got for Will Smith and all that he brought to the culture, right? For whether it's hip hop or TV or black representation or whatever the case may be, we would say that yes, he lost a few dollars, but at the end of the day, I don't see him losing so much that his career won't be in a certain place. Now, if he was a low level actor that walked up to a high level actor, you know what I'm saying, and smacked somebody, he will be done.
Oh yeah, but he's not. He's not.
No, I don't think he'll pay a price for it. The way the sister said. But there are a couple of things at play here. First of all, it's because of the stature that Will Smith is.
Yeah.
You know, because of who he was.
Right.
The other thing is that he smacked another black man.
Yep.
So the response is not going to be the same. The other thing that the sister brought up, which is, you know, there's also the fact that Chris Rock was able to disrespect. Some people may say, I don't really know if it was disrespectful, but the fact that he was able to make light of a black woman. So it's all these three things that play, and white people won't really punish him to that degree. But like I said, had he done that to a white actor, the response would have been a lot different.
It would have been a lot different.
Now, see, a white actor wouldn't have done that. Let's just be clear. A white comedian would not have done that.
How do we know that?
Because let me tell you, it would not have even happened.
They have hosts
because
like
it is
Ricky
we
Gervais. Those guys,
Larry, we are literally the brunt of all
black men.
of your jokes, especially when it comes to our crown and whether you deem it beautiful or not. You know what I'm saying? In a comedic manner, and you know that. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you've never even seen someone coming to our defense. You've never even seen a man actually do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this conversation is so like, oh my God, did he actually do that? Yes, he actually did. Yes, that is the expectation. Yes.
I literally said to Farajii, I said, would Seinfeld have got up there and made that joke? No. Would Pete Davidson have got up there and made that joke? No. None of those with Will Ferrell, none of those white actors would have got up there and made fun of a black woman's hair. That shit would have been off limits.
Come on. This right here is a part of the black on black violence that happens on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? And so in his tears, in the emotion of his speech, you could tell on many levels he was fed up.
Fed up.
Done. You know what? Here's I want and I'm
at some point, Farajii, I've seen you get upset. Like when it comes to me and protecting me as your wife, and you see me go through a lot of hurt and pain, that to say, I would never get fed up and never act irrationally, that's bullshit. You are human, and we have human emotions. To sit there and say that we are always going to keep our cool, that is bullshit. No one can always keep their cool. No one can always keep their cool.
I don't think that anybody can keep their cool if their spouse. And look, I mean, this is why this situation, this moment is very, very hard to process. It took me hours to try to figure out how to even have this conversation because one, I am a husband. Two, I'm married to a black woman who has gone through some things. Three, I know my own self. that yes, I would have been going crazy. But the thing is that this was one on national television. Okay. Two is involving two black men that have history. Not only was there the situation in 2016, that there was another situation in 2018 when Will Smith posted a birthday tribute on his Instagram account to his ex-wife Cherie Zapino, who is the mother of his oldest son Trey.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Happy B-Day, Cherie. Best baby mama ever. I love you, Riri." Chris Rock left a comment saying, "Wow, you have a very understanding wife." That was in 2018.
Grow up.
And then Cherie Zapino responded, "Don't hate."
Right. That's beautiful. I think
You
that's a beautiful
understand?
thing.
So they have, I think there has been some stuff brewing between these two brothers that just spilled over. Now, the other part about this is I think that Will Smith just had an emotional moment. Hey, Keena, I want you to play a little bit of the acceptance speech of Will Smith, because it speaks volumes, I think, that of his mindset as to why he did what he did, Check this out.
Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. In this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world. Making this film, I got to protect Ingenue Ellis, who was one of the strongest, most delicate people I've ever met. I got to protect Sanaya and Demi, the two actresses that played Venus and Serena. I'm being called on in my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. And I know to do what we do, you got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay. But Richard Williams, and what I loved, thank you, D. Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you. It's like, I want to be a vessel for love. I want to say thank you to Venus and Serena. I just spit. I hope they didn't see that on TV. I want to say thank you to Venus and Serena and the entire Williams family for entrusting me with your story. That's what I want to do. I want to be an ambassador of that kind of love and care and concern. I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. This is a beautiful moment, and I'm not I'm not crying for winning an award. It's not about winning an award for me. It's about being able to shine light on all of the people, Tim and Trevor and Zach and Sanaya and Demi and Ingenue and the entire cast and crew of King Richard and Venus and Serena, the entire Williams family. Art imitates life. I look like the crazy father, just like they said. I look like crazy father, just like they said about Richard Williams. But love will make you do crazy things. To my mother, a lot of this moment is really complicated for me, but to my mother, she didn't want to come out. She had her knitting friends. She has a knitting crew that she's in Philly watching with.
Yeah,
it sounds like it.
This is acceptance.
Folks, I want to, that was just a little bit. It was like a 6-minute speech that Will Smith gave, in his acceptance of his first Oscar, as he was awarded the Oscar for his portrayal of Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams. Going back to my panel, Larry Lancaster, Nir Muhammad, B. Fly, I think that acceptance speech speaks volumes about where his head is at, that he's always in this kind of he's in a place of protecting the people that he loves, right? But then there was something else I want to, put this out there. He talked about his mom, and in the first chapter of his new book, Will, he said that he saw his mother getting punched in the head and punched in the head and collapsing, where she was spitting out blood when he was 9 years old, because he saw this abuse by his father. And something that he said in his book was that ever since he saw that, he felt like a coward because he didn't stand up for his mother, and that every level of achievement that he has been blessed to have, he said that is his way of apologizing to his mother for his inaction as a 9-year-old. He still carries a lot. He still carries a lot. Now, I'm not saying this to try to make him a pity story or sob story or anything. I'm just looking at it because I think the other part about this is that when you look at a person who makes such a big public move like this, you got to consider the whole person and not just the moment. This is Will Smith. He says he has carefully constructed his career to being the man that he is today. But as you can hear, Nira and B, he said, you got to take abuse. You got to let people say whatever they say whatever they want to say, and you got to roll with it.
And he's been in this business for so long, Farajii. We've never seen Will respond this way. So it's not like this is a testament to Will's character. He's been in this business for so many years. He's taken so much abuse, so much hate, so much of just so much. For us to even judge that man in that moment for defending his wife, that speaks to who we are as people. Because if you don't think that because that man got a nice bank account, that he don't go through things, he doesn't have emotions, and he's never going to act off of impulse, because that's the word I was thinking about, impulse. What do y'all think about these celebrities? Why do y'all keep thinking that they don't have natural, regular emotions too? That they don't act off of impulse? They're not gods. And how even God gets angry and results to violence in the Bible. That's from y'all Christian Bible. So please stop. I'm annoyed that people acting real high and mighty. And if you're a man who would never defend your wife, couldn't be a man of mine. Period.
I hear that.
I think this also, I think hearing this speech again, it makes me understand how deep of a method actor Will Smith is and how deeply he was probably still in character of Venus and Serena's father.
Richard.
And so when I think about that level of commitment, and in that moment, you know, it was his most natural impulse for many reasons, and he has hit a level in his career at this point to where he can choose when he's going to continue to shuck and jive. And this was a very clear moment where he had enough of the shucking and jiving that we do just to be a part of this entertainment industry. Then it's very clear that Chris is still willing to shuck and jive, you know? And so it's like, and so in his mind, it's probably economic. Oh, I have to still shuck and jive because I haven't made it to where I need to be. But until you even understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, until we have more people to break through these black glass ceilings for reals, like we won't be able to create that sort of on the ground fortitude to where we literally dismantle certain systems that we perpetuate on a regular basis, and we don't have to in order to succeed. And so that should be the greatest takeaway today, you know, outside of it being captured by an all black crew, you feel? So it's like, it was done at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like a super black Oscar. So it's like when you have,
I'm about to say, I mean, Will Packer.
Did you see Beyonce?
Will Packer, the one of the top black producers in Hollywood today. Will Packer produced this year's Oscars, and as a result of that, we saw a number of black artists being awarded, from Samuel L. Jackson to I forgot the Afro-Latina sister that was awarded.
Yes, from West Side Story. She was phenomenal. Right. Yes.
So, you know, you got all of these. You have a level of blackness that was celebrated last night. And I think that's what, Larry, as you join us again, like, that's one of the things that people was disappointed about, that really this was a banner night for black arts. And it was finally that we were finally, quote unquote, accepted. And I can't think of another word right now, but we were accepted to run the table in a lot of different ways. And then for this to be the final part of this program, for this to happen, I think it left a bad taste and leave many people disappointed. Like, this was black excellence, black excellence, black excellence. And then Will Smith slaps the hell out of Chris Rock.
No, that's called black critique.
I'm gonna say that ain't on my timeline. That ain't my timeline.
No, wait, hold on, ladies, hold on.
To say about this, first, I think we need to stop seeking validation from white folks.
Right.
We should have our own award show. We need to stop begging them to accept us and acknowledge us when we can do it for ourselves. The other thing about, we can do both. We can defend black women and also say that Will Smith was wrong for smacking another black man on TV. It doesn't mean that you won't defend your woman. It doesn't mean that you're a punk. It just means that there's a better way to do things. And I also think that, again, we have to have good judgment. We have to have better judgment. We can say that without being high and mighty. We can say that without sounding as if we've never made a mistake. What we're saying is his reaction was over the top. And if I had smacked someone on national TV, regardless as to why I did it, aside from someone physically assaulting me or my wife, I can expect people to weigh in on it as well. The other thing is, we have to stop sharing so much of our personal lives and then not expecting people to weigh in on that. Some things you should keep to yourself. Not everybody has to know that you have an open relationship. Not everybody has to know that you had an affair with somebody. Like, you don't have to discuss all of these things. And so when you do that and you open yourself up, you also have to expect and understand the criticism that comes with that.
Yeah, and you know what, just to your point, Larry, I remember when just a couple of days ago, Laverne Cox made a joke about Will and Jada's entanglement. And Will explicitly said in a later interview, he said, "We don't have entanglements. There is no infidelity in my relationship with Jada." He said, because we communicate about everything. So if you communicating with your partner about everything, the infidelity is not a secret. That's not an infidelity. That's
Farajii, and she was very honest and open about the whole August Alsina. They were separated at that time when she was dealing with August Alsina. And and that's another thing that irritates me, because so many people live in these relationships where they're being cheated on, where they're being disrespected, where they're not in an open marriage, but they're being cheated on. To have a couple that's actually authentic about their story, it's actually refreshing to me, especially considering that we're at 10 years. And I think that even if you talk to couples that have been married for 30, 40 plus years, if you think that there has never been any major issues or roadblocks or humps that they had to get over in their relationship, you're sadly mistaken. Now, granted, some of their stuff they could keep to themselves, but they chose to be authentic. This wasn't a moment about them choosing to be authentic by making fun of a Black woman's hair condition. Not the same thing. That's like night and day, comparing whether or not you talk about your relationship on a red table talk, which is about relationships, versus you're making fun of a Black woman's struggle with her hair. They don't correlate.
If you're referring to me, I wasn't conflating those two issues.
No, I know you weren't. I know you weren't. No, I know you weren't.
What I'm saying is that I think it was the frustration of a preponderance of all the things that people have said about them. So that's why that was added to that. I just think and you can be authentic without everybody knowing your business. And I don't think they would have been authentic about it had not August Alsina came and went public about the whole side. So it kind of made them kind of confronted. I don't think Will was upset that she was with another man. I think it was her choice in the other man. I think it was the fact that it was one of the friend's sons, and that's why he was around, the age difference. And I think she took advantage of a young boy who was young, and he had some mental things going on. And because she was going through whatever she was going through as a woman, they kind of met, and that happened. And I just think he expected better judgment from her as to who she slept with, not the fact that she was with another man.
All right, let me just throw another piece.
I'm not going to get into who she sleep with. It's not my business.
I mean, but it's public knowledge. I mean, he
wasn't that young, though. Everyone thinks he was like 18, 19. He was well over 21 years old.
Part of his frustration. People going in on them for so many months. And I think that was the spark that kind of set him off.
All right, let me.
And people don't go in on him; they go in on Jada.
Let me just share a couple of more comments from our watchers, because so many of you are commenting, and I love it. Even though you may not agree or disagree, even though you agree or disagree with our panelists, doesn't mean we can't have the conversation. Gail said, "I would agree it was not good, but Jada and Will's life and messy life is all over social media." That is Gail.
Is it messy or is it just life?
Huh?
I think it's just life.
I mean, that's just that. That's
I think it's just like I think it's just life. People just say messy because they do their shit in the dark, but it's just life. I don't even think it's messy.
All right. Croctown checked in and said, Croctown 516. I feel for Will Packer the most. They will probably never have another Black producer. I don't agree.
I disagree with that.
Nah, that's not the way
completely disagree.
I don't agree.
That's not the way this works. He has all the BTS. Right. He's in the most powerful position ever in life. Like they caught all of the tea.
Right. They're gonna bring him back. But
they're gonna bring him back
very quickly. As we wrap up this part of the conversation very quickly, Jaden Smith, the son of Will and Jada, he posted a tweet. And I want to see if we can get the tweet posted. But he simply said in that tweet, and that's how we do it.
Oh, do you see them numbers? 11-11? 11-11.
So here's the thing about this. How do we have a conversation for those young people who are watched yesterday and figure it and trying to process it, even if they're not teenagers or like young adults, they might be younger. But what is the big lesson that we need to take away from this and talking to our children? Because this was a family situation. Will Smith, he's a family man. He has a family audience. His son puts out, and that's how we do it.
At 11-11.
What do we think of that? I'm going to start with you on that one, B.
Listen, it's very clear. We do not condone violence. But this right here falls under like literal self-defense. And so it's like there is no telling the actual you know, when people are bullied and then they commit suicide, then we cry about the bullying, all right? But in that moment of the bullying, okay, we have an opportunity to let the person who is being bullied know that I am on your side, not the side of the bully, all right? So I would always tell my child to stand up for truth, justice, and equality. And that's what it is. And we go to war for much less.
Yeah, there it is. Larry, what's your take? We got Larry with us.
Oh,
all right. Yeah, go ahead, Larry. What's your take? Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Guys here?
Yes, sir. What Jaden Smith said, and that's how we do it.
Again, as men, we are examples. And that just goes to show what happens when we set bad examples and then our children look to that and follow us. And again, I'm not saying he was wrong for being angry. What I'm saying is we have so many black men who are incarcerated for acting out, for making bad decisions. We have so many black men who are killed on a daily basis for violence that are perpetrated against other black men. It's just not a good thing to do, especially for the representation that Will has set thus far. I understand he's human. I understand all of that, but it just wasn't a good look. And I feel like he could have handled that a lot better.
Nira, thank you so much, brother Larry.
Yeah, I definitely don't condone violence. I never want to see something like this happen again. But I also hope that this is a warning to black men that we black women are fucking fed up. We're fed up, and I'm grateful that a black man defended his wife in a public setting, and hopefully this will set the precedence that the shit will stop happening. Period. Drops mic.
All right, there it is right there. Larry Lang, comedian Larry Lancaster, I appreciate you, dear brother. You know, folks, if you want to follow Larry and all of his comedic adventures through life, you can follow him on all his social media platforms. B Fly, co-founder of Blackwater Production House. Thank you so much, B. And Nira Muhammad, activist, artist, and host of Queen Talks with Nira Muhammad podcast that can be heard on all streaming platforms. Amazing panel, very, very lively discussion. And we'll just see how this thing go. Also, just to let y'all know, again, the Academy is trying to figure out what the next step is. And we will certainly keep everyone posted about the aftermath of this slap that was heard.
Will never do it again. He'll never do it again.
I doubt if he will.
He'll never do it again.
I doubt if he will. I appreciate
He'll get a fine and move on.
Right. I appreciate y'all for checking in and being a part of the conversation. Thank you. Folks, that's going to do it for us. Man, oh man, thank you so much to everybody that tuned in and just commented on the conversation. Keep the conversation going. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Farajii Muhammad, on Twitter at Farajii, Instagram Farajii Muhammad, Facebook. Man, look, I just, you know, this is one of those discussions where you just have to try to talk it over with people and try to get a better understanding. I think this moment took all of us off guard, and to try to figure out like all of the dynamics of what just happened in really in like a 30-second time frame. We saw two black men having a conflict, and it just exploded. But I hope that the conversation at least brought some things to the forefront of your mind about the culture, about the community, what we find acceptable and unacceptable, how do we define manhood and womanhood, all of those things in just this moment. But it's important that we at least have the conversation, even if we don't all agree. And that's the beauty of having a show like The Culture on the Black Star Network, folks. That's why we need your support. BlackStarNetwork.com. Make sure you show your support for Black-owned media, because it is these conversations that make the difference, all the difference in the world. If we have your support, we can continue to reach out to more people. We continue to expand the discussion. We can continue to impact the culture on a very, very major level. So your support for Black Star Network means everything to us. You can check us out at blackstarnetwork.com. You can also check us out on all of our social media platforms of Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And we would love to have not just your support, but we want you to let your friends and family know the importance of Black-owned media. That's going to do it for me. I appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of the conversation and watching the show today. Stay tuned at the 6 o'clock hour as Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk again tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Peace.